Okay, so I'll back up a few lines just to go over again. We're discussing the two choisem. It says in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, choisem al zroyachon, choisem al libecha. He says that tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh. He brought the idea of a choisem that if you have a protruding choisem, you bring down the stamp that you make is a sinking choisem. If you have a sunk choisem, then when you put it on the wax, you get a protruding choisem. He explains in Avodas Hashem, we've been explaining the tefillin shel yad. The first one, that's considered a protruding choisem, which the person serves the Eibishter in a level of ava, in a level of hispilus, in a level of protruding, and then the response from above comes in a way of shekeya. It comes in a way of a sunken level of return. And he discussed that the isaruso dilatate of the yid into the highest madregas elicit an isaruso dilaela from above, from the level of ein soif to dress up into chokhmah. So we'll go back a few lines. V'zehu tefillin shel yad demiyushav. This is the tefillin shel yad that we do basically sitting down. The tefillin shel yad corresponds to the regular davening, the psuke de zimra and kriya shema, which mainly is done sitting down. Also, there is the tefillin shel yad. Some people in halacha put it on while sitting down. Basically, that is called, as opposed to the standing up, the amida, which is done lachash softly, that will be the other choisem. That will be the choisem shel rosh. That will be done quietly, like the amida. You don't, no excitement, not oifanim v'chayis akoid barash godel, not the whole. That's the different way. We'll see that later. Right now, this level of choisem, that's simani al zreyecho. That's the one that comes on the hand, that tefillin shel yad miyushav. Shehu keneged kriya shema ubirchiseho. That corresponds to the reading of the Shema and the blessings. And before, he also said, through the introduction of the Pesuke de Zimra, that represents Bechinas Tefillah de Miyushav, the level of the davening that is done while sitting down, which is Bechinas Rash Godel. That is done with a lot of noise, with a lot of fanfare, with a great excitement. That's the protruding, that's the choisem boilet, and mimata l'maylo, from below to above. And we also have in the parsha of the tefillin, it says, Kadesh li kol b'choir, make holy to me all the b'choir, which is in one of the parshas of the tefillin, in the tefillin shel yad as well. So which means hu chochma reishis. That refers to kol b'choir. A b'choir is a firstborn, which is the level of chochma reishis. This is all isarusa dilatata, reaching up in the choisem boilet, reaching up till the level of chochma. And that choisem boilet brings about from above the choisem shekeya, who connected them milmailo lemata, to corresponding to that choisem, to that protruding ahava that comes in the Kriya Shema Bircheseho, we get the choisem shoikeya milmayla lemato leman tiyeh toiras Hashem. That brings about that the toiras Hashem should come down from the highest level. The Ein Sof should be nimshach in Chochma, oiraisa me Chochma nafkes. So leman tiyeh toiras Hashem beficha. It should be in your mouth from the level of Chochmah that comes down in the Torah that a Yid learns. That is b'bchinas shikeya. That is in a way of that it sinks in. So that's the first parsha, the parsha of Kaddish li kol b'choir. That's in there. O parsha shniya. And then you have the second parsha, which talks about Yitzias Mitzrayim over there, that you should remember Yitzias Mitzrayim. That's Yitzias Mitzrayim. So that is still within this level that we're talking about, the Chosim that brings about the Chosim Shekeya, which is the Tefillin Shel Yad, which is the idea over here, you have to have Yitzias Mitzrayim in that avodah. Hu gilui, that means gilui ha'ava ha'mesuteres ma'elem ha'moyach elalei, because we were talking about the level of har, the level of ava, the level of protrusion, the level of excitement, but that is still a level which is intellectually reflective and comes to the level of isaruso de latata, but we want it to come from the hidden, from that spark of the nefesh elokis which is in your heart. When it comes out, that level of hidden love from being obscure, hamoyach elalev, to come out from the mind, from the brain to the heart. That level of love is not sufficient that you understand it, but we need it to be expressed in the heart. For as long as it's only in your mind, it's in a level of Mitzrayim. It's in exile. It's boundary. It's in boundaries, and it is in exile, which means it's not open. It has not expressed itself in openness. Masha'en be his galus, as opposed to when that level that's in your moyach comes to the heart, that means that's revelation. Nikra bechinas leda. That is called the level of leda. That's birth. It's come out just like a baby is born, comes out from the mother's womb into the world. Here, this excitement, the hidden love which is in the heart, comes out into openly, and that is called the chinas leda, as the pasuk says. We find in the pasuk, umoyladetayich umechuroisayich b'yoyim heledes chulu. So over there we talk about in the time when the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim. So the pasuk equates it over there that me'eretz haknani b'yoyim heledes oischol lekorashorech, which is the pasuk in Yechezkel, which over there it discusses the idea that that's Yitzias Mitzrayim is birth. That's the level of birth. So what does it mean in very simple translation? V'hu b'chinas gilui. that is the level of when it comes to revelation, which is simcha shel mitzvah. That is the joy of mitzvah. That's the revelation of that hidden love, that when you do the mitzvah, you do it with simcha. As we see, Eim habonim smecha, the mother of the children. In other words, when it comes out from the mother, it comes out the gilui, then it's smecha, brings simcha. That's the open joy. As the pasuk requires everything to be with simcha, as it says, tachas asher lo yavadeto chulu besimcha, you haven't worked with simcha. So v'hainu gilui parshas shema, this is the revelation, this idea of the level of the parshas shema, b'hoyim shemoya, when you have the shema and oyev shemoya, which is basically Shema is Av, and Hoyim Shemoya is Yira. That's the revelation, the Shem Ava v'Yira, which is Ava v'Yira. And how is it manifest? How does it come out? Simcha. Simcha is the expression, is the revelation of the Ava v'Yira and the Shema and the Hoyim Shemoya, which you experience in the in the revelation. That brings simcha. That is all the emotional part. So we say the Ava and Yira in your heart are the expression of the Gilu Simcha Shel Mitzvah. And the same thing is in action. This is, we have the Moyach, Machshava, you have the Moyach and you have the heart, and you also have the Maisa, you have the action. So the Machshava is the reflection, the Leiv comes out, the Abba Mesuteres, is no longer in the Moyach alone, but it's expressed in the Simcha Shel Mitzvah. And then Ubemaisa, Hagilui Hu B'Tzedakah. How do we get the revelation and we get the Sheikeah, the return, the Abba through our work? How do we get the return from above? In action, that he says the Gilui, when does it come out? How does it come out? Who b'tzedakah? Is in tzedakah. Kishem shal yidei parsha rishoyna nimshach Torah. We said before, v'hoyu hadvorim eila. You have the Shema, Yisrael Shem Ayin, and Yisrael Hashem Lakecha Baruch Shem Kivay, and then it says, then it comes down to Torah, the Hamshocha, the Sheikeah, the Boiler, the Ava brings down the Hamshocha Torah v'hoyu hadvorim eila. So just like in the first parsha, you get Torah, kach al yidei parsha zu nimshach tzedakah. So likewise, through this parsha, we also get tzedakah. So the parshas, Shniya, is you get the level of tzedakah, the level of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Shu b'chinas Rachmanus, which is the level of Rachmanus. So the second, the parsha that we're talking about is the Kadeshli, and then the V'hoya Kiviyachah would talk also about Yitzias Mitzrayim. So the second parsha of the Tefillin, which is the Tefillin Shel Yad, which is all part of the Chosem Boilet, What is the Gilui? Just like through the Parsha Rishoina, which is the Parsha's Kaddish. Nimshach Torah, Kacha de Parsha Zu, through the Parsha of Yitzias Mitzrayim, Nimshach Tzedakah. Over here we get the level of Tzedakah. We get the level of Mamshach Tzedakah, Shu Bechinas Rachmonus. Which is the level of compassion. We are me'oirer the level of compassion. And through the Sarusa de Latata, through giving tzedakah, through Maisa, you bring about, that becomes the revelation, the Chosem Shekeim Milmaila, also the level of Rachmanis. Why do we have to be me'oirer that? Because the whole concept of Rachmanis is really not applicable above. We need the Sarusa de Latato. Kilab mikol midas chulu. The Eibush does not have any measures over their emotion. Shah Rachmanis, who is spilus, because a compassion is a movement, excitement. You're touched by a situation that you feel bad. That is what Rachmanis is. But v'lo shayich zeh ba'orein sobarchu. That does not really apply in the Eirin Sobarchu. She'ein boy shinui rotzen chas v'sholem. There is no, God forbid, there is no change of will. Oh, now we're going to make, Hashem is going to have compassion. Before he didn't care, and now he has compassion. There's no such a thing. There's no change in the will of Hashem. Eloshem mislabish. So, how do we get Hashem's Rachmanis? For that we have the Sarusa de Latato. Eloshem mislabish b'bechinas Rachmanus. But Hashem dresses up in the level of compassion. Ayidei ma'asat tzedakah. Through the act of charity, which is bisaruso de letato, isaruso de leelo, isaruso de letato, isaruso de leelo, and as the pasuk says, Cain tzedakah l'chayim. That the tzedakah becomes the cane, or like a basis. The cane tzedakah brings l'chayim, brings life. Cane ubosis l'chayim. It becomes like the basis and the place for the life of Hashem to rest in there. It becomes a dwelling place for Hashem to sit. So we bring down the level of Rachmanis through our Rachmanis, through our compassion, through our giving tzedakah. This is also a level of shekeya. This is the level that comes as a response to the protrude, to the chosem, which protrudes, brings down shekeya milmailo lemato, from above to below. Because to get the Ein Sof to come down in the midas into compassion, that's a level of sinking in and the way of Helam, because the Eibishter is beyond Labikol Midas. So for him to come down, it's called Shekeya. It doesn't protrude. It's not on the open. It's not on the outside. So this all explained the level of Chosem Boilet, which brings down a response of a Chosem Shekeya. The level, the avoided that comes berash through ave, through ahar, brings down the level of shekeya. Behine kol inyan choisem zeh shemimato l'maylo. This choisem that we say, what does it do? Shemimato l'maylo hu boilet. From below to above, the sarusa de letaita, it sticks out, protrudes. Umilmai lamatu shekeya, and milmai matu shekeya nikra choisam al zrayach. That's what the pasuk says. That's the signet that's on your hand. That's the tefillin shel yad we said before. Why? Because ki smoiloi tachas leroishi. Because how could we get to the level that the roishi should be raised? That comes from the level of smoil, the level of left. That's the choisem al zrayacha. That's why also I think he's not saying it over here, the fetish, but also the tefillin is put on the left hand. It's on because that smoiloi is tachas leroishi. Leroishi oisies Yisrael. Leroishi is the same letters as Yisrael, which means smoiloi, under Yisrael. What does it mean? V'liyois tachas leroishi. That should be underneath Yisrael, underneath the hainu liyis goyrem haloas Yisrael, that it should cause for the Yidden to be elevated. Hu nitzutz elikus milmato lemailo. So that's the godly spark from below to above to raise umibchinas smoiloi. That is from the level of smoil, the level of the left. And this is all the idea of the tefillin shel yad. Gimel. But the second signet that is mimata l'maylo. In this case, the mimata l'maylo is boilet, and boilet brings shikeya. But there's another signet that comes mimata l'maylo hu shikeya, that it's a sunken in. So that represents hu inyan shmoyne esrei. That's the idea of shmoyne esrei tefillah belachash. That's the davening which is done silently, which is hishtacha voice, bowing down, prostrating, level of bittul, not noise, not ava, not in a protrusion, but in a silent, in a soft, tefillah belachash, hishtacha voice, which is bechinas bittul ba'ir and sof baruch hu mamish. That's a level of subjugation in the Eir and Sof Baruch Hu Mamash. U'kameshikosu b'dibur ha'maschil Yehuda ata yeducha b'seim dibur ha'maschil ha'shmayim kisa na'al b'pirush ha'izabais. And then we say v'alavai she'yispal lodem kol hayom. And we hope that a person davens all day. What it means is we want that level of bittul that is experienced during the davening, that should be with the person for the entire day. Hu inyan rishimu. That's the idea of a mark. That liyois benafshi ka'ofor lakoil. So that my soul will be dust for everybody, which means being the level of bittul. The bittul that we just said, that tefillah belachash is bittul. We want sheyispalo kol hayom, that it should extend that level of bittul, nafshi ka'ofor lakoil ti, for the whole day. Beloi b'bchinas yesh, not in a way of a yesh, she'eino yochel levatel atzmai. Not like a yesh that cannot subjugate themselves. Rak, there should be batel ritzeincho. You should negate and give up your will. V'hainu b'bchinas mitzvahs loisasa. Now this is already the level of mitzvahs loisasa. The first level, the level of ahava, the level of Kosem, boilet, that's the level of doing, level of mitzvah saseh. Here is to hold back through the level of bittul, not to violate to the level of loisaseh. because sheheim lamailo mibchinas mitzvahs aseh. The loisaseh are from a higher place than the mitzvahs aseh. That's why the loisaseh is associated with the first two letters of the Shem Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud Kei is associated with the loisaseh. That's why we say Shmi im Yud Kei Shasa, that the letter Shmi, Zeshmi Lo'ilam, Zezich L'Der V'Der. So the word Shmi, my name, represents with the letters Yud K 15 equals 365. That means that the letters Yud K, the first two letters of the Shem Havaya, are associated with the Loisasa, as opposed to Zichri with Vav K equals the 248 mitzvahs say. So you see that Yud K is associated with the level of Loisaseh, what that makes it higher than mitzvahs say. Shebechin has tefillin shel yad, hu bechin has Vav K. The level of tefillin shel yad is level of Vav K. Ledovka boy b'mitzvahs say, to connect to Hashem with the positive mitzvahs. Liyais ha'alo, to be an elevation b'mchinas harchul, in a way of a mountain. Avol Yud Kei, but when we talk about Yud Kei, liyais ha'bitl b'mitzvahs loises. Over there is to be the bitl in the loises, b'chinas loichul. V'al yidei zeh nimshach milmaylo. So what do we get through the level of bitl isaruso dilatata, through the level of a choisem sheikeya through bitl? The return is we get the choisem haboilet. So what does that mean? The choisem haboilet that we get. So we know the choisem by the person, the shekei, the boilet is the ava, the har. Return, you get the ein sof to come down. That's can't really fully come down. It comes down hidden, so that becomes shekeya. Here, what is the choisem shekeya that the person does? The tefillin shel rosh. That's the level of bittul, level of shemana esrei, level of tefillin shel rosh. But what is the return of the choisem boilet minbab? So birin yezeh kinei bizman she'ein beis hamikdash kayim. At the time that we don't have the Beis Hamikdash, so with Take, we don't really see that higher level of Choisem Boiler that comes down through so much, that comes down through the Choisem Shekeya that we provide to bring the Choisem Boiler. Because Bisman She Beis Hamikdash Kayim, when there's no Beis Hamikdash, the pasuk says, "Oiseinu loira inu." We have not seen any signs. Basically, it's obscure. We don't see godliness. Shahakoil hu bebchinas helam. Everything is obscure. As opposed to the future, so then your teacher, your master will not hide anymore, meaning things will be open. So meaning that right now we may not see it, but it's there, it's going to be revealed in the future. So to explain this idea, yesh Torah, the yesh Torah. There's two levels of learning Torah. One level of Torah would be the choisem boilet, and there's another level which is a choisem shekeya. Yesh Torah, yesh Torah. Yesh Torah udvorai asher something b'ficha. There's a Torah that we say, it's my word that I put in your mouth, which basically means b'chinas shekeya. It's not your word, it's not you talking. It's Hashem talking by you. That's the level of sunken in. liyos haslapshus Ein Sof b'chokhmah. So that there should be the Ein Sof should dress up b'chokhmah. V'achokhmah hi levush. The Ein Sof comes to chokhmah, but that chokhmah becomes the garment for the Ein Sof. Like the pasuk says, Oita oir kasalmo, he wraps the light like a salmo, like a garment. So the chokhmah wraps the Oir Ein Sof like a garment. There's something. But in order that the Ein Sof should not, this garment should not block and obscure the Ein Sof which is dressed in that garment in Chokhmah, that Chokhmah should not block it. But rather they should be eye to eye, be able to see. Or as the pasuk says, Chosav Havaya Zroya Koche, Hashem revealed his holy hand. V'ro Kolapsi Oretz, and all the nations of the world saw. Or the other pasuk that says, Leine Hagoyim Gilot Tzidkosei, Azeh Nikra Koire Batoira. So that's why we call it, he reads the Torah, meaning he's calling the Torah to bring down the Ein Sof. How is that? It says, Ki inyan limud ha-Torah, what is the idea of studying Torah? Av shekvar yideya ha-halacha. He already knows the halacha. Still mitzvah lasik, but we have to. So what are we learning Torah for? Kidei lahamshich Oir Ein Sof baruch hu, sheyiyeh gilui Oir Ein Sof lamata v'lo yiyeh halevush mastir klal. So the reason we're koira bat Torah, we're reading in the Torah, we're calling the Torah because the Torah is to bring down the Ein Sof in and not to be obscured by the garment, not to be obscured, to shouldn't hide, but it should come through the Ein Sof. So v'gilui zeh u'v'yaminoi techabkeni. What does it mean? What is it that revelation? So before we took Smoiloi Tachas L'Roshi, we said that's the elevation that comes from the level of Smoil. But here, that Gilui Torah, which is talking about the Chosem Shekeya, which brings about the Chosem Boilet, is in a level of Yeminoi Techabekeni. His right hand hugs me. It's like a person hugging his friend and doesn't allow him to separate. And that is called k'choisem al libecha. That's the signet on your heart. Meritzu is the talion al libe, that is the straps that hang over the heart. That's the level of the tefillin shel rosh and choisem al libcha, the yeminei techabkeni, to hold on. And that means that you bring down the Ein Sof, that it should be lamata, meaning that the Ein Sof will hold you and keep you. Hine hatfillin hein oisios haksuvim al haklav. The tefillin, they're letters that are written on parchment. The tzorich li is mukav gevil medalad ruchosef. And the requirement is that you have to have each letter needs to be surrounded by parchment on all four sides. You have to have parchment around the letter. Ki ha'oisios hein bechinas haloas hanefesh basagoso. Letters represent the soul going up through understanding. I would assume that would be a chosem boilet because that's graspable. Abul haklaf, the parchment hulamaila min ha'oisius. The parchment is on a higher level than the letters. Yehu hanoisa b'soivel as ha'oisius, because that carries and tolerates it. The ha'oisius are carried in the klaf. That means the klaf is a higher letter. V'niklavza hu ha'oir shemimenu ritzuas. That's the same. That's the parchment. Is the skin from which the straps come from. Hakoil hurak b'chinas oir behema tahira. All of it is just the skin of the clean animal. V'haritzuyos hanimshachas min haklaf hazeh, and the straps that come from that parchment, because still the same ritzuyos, hengtalyin al liboy. They are the one that hang on his heart, li's gilu ha'ava believe, so that the revealed love should be in the heart. Li's yuminit chapkeni should be that your right hand hugs me. Basically, the hug you get is from the level of kalaf, which is those are the ritzuas that are hanging on your heart. That's the hug that you're getting. That ava should be revealed, held on through that the minay techabkeni. And this is all on the level of the level of bittul, and the level that comes from the higher level, from the Ein Sof in a way minay techabkeni. All right, why don't we leave it over here?